She was paid to be his girlfriend for 7 years, but when I took her out to dinner and asked the truth about their relationship, she confessed a shocking secret. Now she's pregnant with my son's child. I am a mother of three. My husband, Claude, 60 million, and I both come from old money. Our families are very wealthy and have been for over a century. We had a lot in common when we first met in our teens. Each of us was an only child, and each of us kind of found the culture of our lives to be embarrassing and snobby. We didn't end up dating until our early 20s, but it was very much for love. Our parents all passed over a 10-year span when we were in our late 20s to mid-30s. As the only heirs to the estates of two prominent families, we became very, very wealthy with the combined inheritance. In addition, my husband has done very well managing the estates, investments, and businesses of our families for the last 30 years. Not being one to just sit around drinking tea and looking pretty, I got into the real estate market, which I admit is something that is easier to do when you already have tons of disposable cash on hand. I now own numerous properties on the West Coast that turn nice profits. We instilled a lot of value towards hard work into our three children. We both agreed before we got married was just because we are rich doesn't mean we should be useless. Obviously, just like we were, our children were extremely privileged. However, we tried to mirror a typical childhood experience. They had chores, they were required to get jobs once they were teens. Yes, they had new expensive cars. Yes, they went to top private schools, but we did our best to make sure they didn't turn out like our friends. I put that in quotes because Claude and I always air quoted when we said friends while growing up. So many of them were beyond helpless. It was honestly sad, and needless to say, many have gone from helpless to worthless as adults. Our oldest son, Byron, 33 million, has become a successful lawyer. He married his longtime girlfriend Ming about 4 years ago. Our middle child was our only daughter, Darcy, 30F. She is still single and has gone into a number of philanthropies that we are very proud of. Our youngest son, Damien, 27 million, is my concern in writing this. 7 years ago, he met his now wife, Kylie, 27F, while he was in college. They have provided us our only grandchild, Gran, 2 million. Unlike our older children that chose to go to traditional Ivy League schools, he elected to go to San Diego State University. This was fine. It was his choice. He has always been his own person. He was different from the other two. They always seemed to embrace the expectations. Always very much fit the mold you expect of people born into this kind of life. Damien did not. He was quieter, yet sure of himself. I remember when he was very young, he rarely ever cried for any reason. As he grew up, it seemed like he was often the center of attention, yet he needed none of that. I often thought he could be just as happy in a room of his 10 closest friends or completely alone for a week. Damien went into a tech field and now works as a software developer. He obviously wants for nothing with millions in his trust, but I find it refreshing that he lives the way he chooses to, and not by the degree someone of his status is expected. Kylie, for being a regular girl, has fit in very well with our family. I've always said Damien really lucked out with her. She is the most charming, kind woman. She always seems absolutely obsessed with Damien. They have so many common interests, and she is beautiful on top of that. Kylie never disappoints when with the family either. She takes a real interest in all of us, and can't wait to dive into anything we have planned. She's been a very quick study at society events too, always impressing, which I know can be hard when you don't grow up in it. Our grandson is just the sweetest little boy, and I love him so much. This is also what makes the news I received so hurtful. I recently had a friend visit me that I had not seen in person in a few years. It was really nice catching up because the last time I saw her was nearly 4 years ago when she got divorced from her husband after 34 years of marriage. We didn't really talk about what happened then, but I do know that she had discovered her husband was a frequent customer of an escort service. During her visit with me, we mostly just got caught up on our current lives. But towards the end of the visit, the conversation did turn towards her ex-husband. There was definitely some lingering bitterness there. As she talked, it turned to sadness. She expressed it's been really hard on her because she knows she never looked like the girls he was paying for. She had even found some of their pictures on her ex-husband's computer. She pulled her phone out, a few tears forming, and opened her photos. They were like advertisements. These were what the escort agency sent for clients to choose from. She scrolled through a few, holding the phone so I could see. I didn't really want to see. As she was venting, saying, how was I supposed to compete with that? I was mostly trying to console my friend, one because I knew this had to be hard, but also because I knew she would be embarrassed having shown so much emotion. That was until I noticed the tattoo. I stopped my friend scrolling. There were only 3 or 4 pictures she had gone through. The girl in this picture looked exactly like Kylie. Well, at least like she looked when she was 20 to 21 years old. That would have been around the time her and Damien met. Maybe their first year of dating. I could have rationalized the similar appearance. Sometimes people just look a lot alike. However, in the picture, you could just barely see part of the same Bulbasaur tattoo that Kylie has on her inner bicep. It has to be her, I'm sure of it. I don't want to ruin my son's marriage. Maybe he knows about this part of her past. I won't judge. I swore a long time ago that I wouldn't become one of those people. It's just that this photo could very well be from when they were dating, and I feel my son has a right to know. I don't want him to get hurt if something comes out later. I think the best course is for me to do a little private detective work and figure out if this is all in the past, how far in the past, and to what extent. Then I can go to my son with all the information. I have found out so much disturbing information since I started digging into my son's marriage. I feel guilty for doing so, but what started out as just trying to confirm whether or not my daughter-in-law was an escort has taken on a life of its own. I hired a private investigator to figure out if Kylie was still performing this kind of work. I had him follow her for 2 weeks, and he reported back that she did not meet with any other men or women during that span of time, other than a girlfriend she had lunch with 2 or 3 times. There was nothing there, yet the PI had told me he expected there was going to be. The very first night after I hired him, he went to scope out their house. He said he was just making observations when he saw Kylie come out the door with Grand. She got into her car and drove to a very nice townhouse in an affluent part of the city. The PI told me he was sure she was there to meet some older married man. He has seen this kind of thing play out this way numerous times. He watched for 2 days as Kylie and Grand stayed at this place. No one else came or went from the residence except the 2 of them. They went to a park and played on the playground and went to get food twice. He said he was sure no one else was there. In the 2 weeks he observed her, 8 of the nights she stayed at this townhouse, and she spent all of each Monday there. I decided to look into this residence and discovered Kylie owns this place. It is her place, in her name alone. This has me somewhat alarmed, as I am wondering if Damien and Kylie are having some sort of marital problems. I have doubts on that though, as it appears Kylie bought this place 4 years ago, 1 year after they got married and 2 years before they had Gran, which leads me to my next glaring red flag. They are not legally married. They had a wedding. I was there. It was a big, expensive wedding. They signed the standard prenup beforehand. The only thing that was different was instead of the family lawyer handling it, Damien hired a friend of his from high school. He was a young practicing attorney, and Damien said it would be a big boon to his good friend if he got to handle a high-end client, so we didn't fight him on it. I did have our people take a look at the prenup, and they said it was pretty standard. How are they not married? My PI said it looks like they just never filed the paperwork. If they didn't want to be married, that was fine. We are not a religious family. No one would have judged. No one that mattered anyway. Why all this secrecy? That only fueled my desire to get to the bottom of this more. I hired some people that are good at finding things. It's not the first time I've done so in my lifetime, and I have the means. It may not be exactly legal, but the people I employ are very discreet and very professional. They were able to obtain Damien's financial records. I obviously had the ones that related to the estate, but they got his personal records as well as Kylie's taxes and income statements. Her taxes indicate that she made around $400,000 each of the last 3 years. She is a stay-at-home mom. Her tax statement lists her as a self-employed interior designer. I have never heard her mention being an interior designer. Also, within the records, there were 3 large money transfers over the last 6 years, 2 for $750,000 and 1 for $500,000. They go from his trust to their joint account to Kylie's personal account. With all of this, I was suspicious enough to bring it to my husband Claude's attention. He has always been level-headed and understanding. I was very surprised when he told me to just drop it and stay out of their business. He even had a bit of a sharp tone when he told me this that caught me off guard. This got under my skin a bit and I bit back. Eventually he said to me, "Just stop. You don't know everything. What they do with their money is their business, and what they choose to do in the privacy of their own lives is their business. They are all happy and so are we. There is no reason to rock the boat." I admit I got a little bit irrational here, as I knew he was hiding something from me. We fought a little bit more about it and I walked away from him. Upset, I made a rash decision and drove over to Damien and Kylie's home, intent on confronting them. They have a nice big house, but nothing over the top. I let myself in the side door, which was a mistake. They didn't hear me come in, and when I walked into the living area, I saw Kylie cleaning the house, completely naked. Damien was sitting on the couch watching her and enjoying the show. I screamed, "Oh my God!" They both freaked out as well. Damien quickly tried to cover up, and Kylie turned to head out the room. But before doing so, in a panicked voice asked Damien, "Should I cover up?" Which he quickly replied, "Yes, please do so, baby." Damien popped up, rightfully agitated with me. He was heated until Kylie came back out in a robe. She smoothed everything over, even made a little joke about getting a sign that says, "Role play in progress," to hang on the door. I didn't say anything about what I learned. I was far too embarrassed. It was hours later when the whole scene began to cause me some suspicion. I don't care if they are being kinky. I may be 57, but I've done my share of kinky and still do sometimes, so that that is what it is. I just wish I hadn't walked in on it. What bothers me is what she said after I walked in. Why did she ask him if she could cover up? That seems obvious. What kind of dynamic do they have that she would need to ask in that situation? All of this has me going back and forth between what my husband said and what I feel I need to do. I tried to get it out of him again, but he said, Damien trusted him with this, and he asked me not to share it with you, to spare your feelings. I know Darcy has done the same with you over the years, especially when she was in high school and college. I never held that against you or asked you to betray her trust. I ask that you respect and trust me when it comes to this matter. I will do that. I will not press him, but that does not mean that I will not press our son for the truth. It took a couple weeks to actually get my son Damien alone and ask him what was going on with him and his wife. My husband was right. I should have just left it alone. It took some poking. It took me showing all the evidence I had acquired. Initially, Damien thought that his father Claude had let it slip. I assured him that was not the case. Quite the opposite, actually. Eventually, he told me everything. Kylie is not a former escort. When he told me that I felt this relief wash over me, it was very short-lived. She is a current escort. She is his escort. Their entire relationship is just a business transaction. He pays her $177.15 an hour. The $500,000 transfer was a wedding bonus. Grand was what Damien bought for the $750,000 3 years ago. They sat down and negotiated the price of producing a grandchild. Damien wants a second child, which is what the most recent $750,000 is for. I'm sure I had the dumbest look on my face while he was telling me all this. I can't wrap my head around it. It's absolutely insane. It all makes sense, though. Her income and tax filings, the townhouse she owns, the fact that she spends less than half the nights at their home, she's off the clock. I asked so many questions about their whole dynamic, and Damien was surprisingly forthcoming. If she is there with him or at his house, she is on the clock. If she is doing anything with any part of the extended family, she is on the clock. Basically, anytime she is pretending to be a member of our family, she is on the clock. She gets to keep any gift she receives from anyone. Damien will keep their house as if they all live there full time. Basically, food she likes will be on hand, she will have hygiene products there, etc. During the time she is on the clock, she is available to him at any time. They make a 2-week schedule of when she will stay overnight. If he wants to change this and have her stay overnight on an unplanned evening, he can request this, but she has the option of refusal. This is just the regular everyday stuff. Vacations, family gatherings, and other special events are all assumed time in which Kylie will attend unless they are on unreasonably short notice. When it comes to Grand, they both consider him their child and love him. They look at it like it's co-parenting. She has primary custody and is with him almost full-time. They do employ a nanny as well for when they are both busy or Kylie needs a break. Damien assures me she sees Grand as her child and will never give up custody of him. I strangely believe this, as everything I have ever seen is that she is a wonderful mother. I asked what will happen if their arrangement ends. Damien said, then we will continue on similar to amicably divorced parents who maintain a friendship. Neither of us wants him to be without both of his parents. There was so much more to it. I didn't get too much in the personal part because it was weird for both of us. He did answer the billion-dollar question. Why? It all started during his junior year of college. Damien was always popular. He keeps to himself, but when you're rich and handsome, you will attract attention. He told me he always dated, contrary to what everyone thinks about him. He does want to be with someone special. He told me every time he had a girlfriend, it would always come back to what he could give them. Every time he began to sense they were after something else, which I know when you have the wealth that we do, you always attract this type of person. Then a friend put him onto the escort service. They were very discreet. That is how he met Kylie. Kylie apparently offered something called a girlfriend experience. I guess normally there are a lot of rules surrounding what you can and can't do with an escort. When you pay for the girlfriend experience, you get the treatment a regular boyfriend might get. I kind of regret asking what that meant, but essentially unprotected kissing, deep conversations, etc. I did ask if he got tested, and he told me they both did before starting that initial arrangement. After about a month of this, Damien said he was really enjoying their relationship. He offered her the deal, which was to make the girlfriend experience a full-time job. He agreed to the term of $100 an hour back then. That would increase each year that they kept the arrangement going. He would provide for all necessities and accommodations during their time together. She would be available as much as possible and accompany him to family functions, work events, etc. He told me she is very professional and puts in the effort to learn how to interact with our socioeconomic class. When I asked about the major life events, he just told me he wanted to get married and have kids. She was willing to do this for the appropriate price. He knows they aren't legally married, but he got to have the wedding he always wanted and said it was nice because, for once, he got to be the first kid to reach a milestone. He likes their relationship. Damien said, "It's amazing. Everyone gets what they want. I got the marriage I always wanted without all the drama and turmoil that comes with it. She She is the perfect partner every hour of every day. She has been a part of our lives for 7 years. I just can't believe this whole time it was just a job. I am heading out now to have a real conversation with Kylie about all of this. My son made her aware of my knowledge in this matter. I'm hoping to see the real Kylie during this conversation, and not just the perfect daughter-in-law part that she plays. I met with Kylie recently, and I suppose I feel better about the whole situation. Not a lot better, but it is what it is. I took her out to eat at a very nice bistro in the city. The nanny watched grand. I didn't even know where to start, which is what I said to her. She said, "You can start wherever you want, Jerry. Damien is paying me for this and has instructed me to answer anything you ask 100% truthfully." That gave me a gross feeling, like we were doing an interrogation or a business deal. I asked her, "Do you love my son? Do you even like him? Is it all just business? Because I'm having a really hard time coming to terms with the idea that it's all business between you two." Kylie answered, "I genuinely do like him. He is a sweet guy and funny, oddly respectful of me even after 7 years. Our agreement allows him to, do what he wants, but he always asks how I'm doing. Like he wants me to be comfortable, so that's nice." I felt really bad talking about their life. That was just weird, but at the same time proud that my son still believed in boundaries and consent. It was a strange moment. She continued on, "I still keep my distance because it's like a business transaction. He pays me to be what he wants, and I provide that. I don't want to get too attached. I make sure to keep some distance. That's one of the reasons I have my own place. He offered years ago to cover an apartment for me when I wasn't at work. I said no, because that's still like his place. The townhouse is mine. So there are no emotions. It's just co-workers." Kylie, "No, although that might be a good way of putting it. More like close work friends. He wants the girlfriend experience, but without any of the bad parts. I give him that, which sometimes means I make myself emotionally vulnerable, and it is nice when he comforts me. But what do you want for yourself? Don't you want to find love in your own life? Is that woman we met actually your own mother, or was that some actress or something? You have made a fortune already. You don't have to keep doing this. Why don't you find your own happiness?" Kylie, "I am happy. I'm thankful for everything. No, I won't keep doing this forever, but it's been good so far. My mother was a single mom who did everything she could to take care of me. I don't have any siblings. My bio dad disappeared when I was months old. Yes, that is my mom, and she knows everything. She thinks Damien is great and keeps hoping to hear we are going for real." I interrupted, "And she is okay with all of this." Kylie, "She doesn't like it, but also understands. When I was young, she did what she could to support us. I didn't know it then, but we were really poor. When I was 11, I saw my mom doing something I wasn't supposed to see. I didn't bring it up until I was 15, and she didn't freak out or anything. She just told me the truth. She webcammed to make ends meet. She would get up at 6 every day and help me get ready, go to her regular job, come home and take care of me, go to bed and sleep when I did for 2 or 3 hours, get up and webcam from midnight until 2 or 3 in the morning, go back to bed and sleep until 6, then do it all over again. She did that for years. When I graduated high school, I took loans and went to college. It was really hard. I had no money. I saw an ad promising $1,500 to $2,000 for 3 hours of work. I looked into it and it was for adult film. I ended up doing it and they ripped me off. I was handed an envelope with $200 in it and they just left. I looked over the contract and felt so stupid it said up to $1,500 in compensation. I got this uneasy look on my face and said, "There's a film of you out there?" Kylie said in a sad tone. "Yes, I haven't ever found it online. I go looking for it sometimes, but I'm sure it's out there somewhere. I used a fake name and didn't have my tattoos yet. Plus I was barely 18 then and probably looked even younger. They were a small, sleazy studio. I doubt they had many people watching their stuff. I'm sorry, I'm really ashamed of that." She got a little teary-eyed at that, so I took her hand and told her it was okay. She didn't have to tell me anything she didn't want to. She shook her head and continued, "No, it's fine. I felt really bad afterwards and was still struggling financially. I had a friend who had put me on with the escort agency. She was doing it and knew I could use the money. The agency was really impressive. It ran like a legit business and was really discreet. I only had 2 clients before I met Damien. They were both way older and it was kind of gross, but the money was good. Damien was so different. First off, he was my age, and secondly, he was looking for more than just a quick Oh my God, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be so. It's okay, go ahead. Kylie, "Well, he liked me and I felt safer with him, so I offered the girlfriend experience. He really liked the sound of that. After a month of just doing that, a night here and there, he made his move." She said that with a laugh. "He offered me a deal I couldn't even believe, basically being his paid full-time girlfriend." "Did you keep seeing other clients?" Kylie, "Oh no, from the moment Damien hired me the first time, I have been his exclusively. He was booking me 3 to 4 times a week weak early on, mostly for that, like, housekeeping fantasy of his. Oh my god, sorry TMI, she must have noticed me wince. It's okay, and what? The rest is history? Kylie. Yeah, pretty much. I am sorry for all this. Neither of us meant to hurt anyone. I know finding out about the wedding and the relationship and, like, everything has to be a lot. Trying to sound as reassuring as possible, I said, it is, but I am trying to have an open mind here. Part of me wants to lash out, but I don't think that would help anything. However, you never answered my question. What do you want for your life? Kylie, I will probably only do this for a few more years. I would like to meet someone to grow old with. I do not date. I stay faithful to our arrangement. I don't know what the future holds for Damien and I. We will always be in each other's lives because of Grand, but I don't know if he will ever want more than what he has now. That is fair. I won't give my opinion because I think I have butted myself into your lives enough. Is there anything else you would like to get off your chest before we call it a day? Kylie paused for a moment and said, I'm not really a horse person. I didn't know anything about them until Damien told me you liked horses. I studied because I'm supposed to make all of you like me. I do enjoy it when you take me to those shows though. That's real. I had a bemused smirk upon my face and she continued on. I really dislike onions, and your whole family has onions in everything. I don't bring this up because I'm supposed to be pleasant all the time, but I really don't like onions. I made a mental note of this. Finally, I said, anything else? I assumed that would be it, or maybe one more silly thing. She took a deep breath and said, yes, I'm pregnant. Epilogue. Very unconventional beginning, but I guess in the end, it's what you make of it. It definitely isn't a traditional love story. It was a little weird the first time she wasn't just pleasant and accommodating to everyone, but I appreciated the authentic Kylie anyway. I mean, it's hard to feel negatively towards a woman who has given you 4 amazing grandkids. I like to think I had something to do in making this possible, but maybe I'm just being arrogant. After Simon was born, Damien asked her if they could try for real. She said yes and moved exclusively into her townhouse. They dated for almost a full year before actually getting legally married and moving back in together. There was not a second wedding or anything, just filing the paperwork. We have never let anyone else know the truth about how their relationship started and never will, not even Damien's siblings. Even if they found out, I would never let them say one word negative to either of them, especially since Byron is now divorced and Darcy is still single 10 years later. I feel like when those are your circumstances, you don't really have the right to judge somebody else's relationship. There hasn't been one bit of serious drama in that time. Damien got used to Kylie speaking her mind pretty quickly and realized a great relationship has both good and bad. He even admitted to his father, who told me, that he didn't realize all the good things he was missing out on when he was just paying for his version of an ideal partner. Little Cammy, who is 5 now, is my little horse girl. The boys are coming into their own more and more each time I see them. Kylie just had their 4th, another boy they named Sander 6 months ago. Honestly, through it all, the biggest adjustment was scaling back on the onions.